call of 2022, and I am super excited to dig into the books this week because we had some heavy hitters, some titles that I have been really excited for since I saw they were coming up late 2021. So this week I picked up 4 different books and skipped one book. I didn't buy Arkham City, Order of the World. I've been thinking about going back and actually picking that book up. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I feel like I'm missing out. I didn't realize that book was going to be in continuity either, so it's kind of incumbent upon me to check it out. So I'll probably do that at some point, but since I'm currently not getting it, I didn't pick up this week's issue. Maybe I'll just pick it up when it's all done. What I did pick up was Batman 119, which is part 2 of the Abyss storyline. I got Detective Comics 1047, which is part 1 of Shadows of the Bat, a new 12-part series that's going to be running weekly for the next few months. Really excited to dig into this one and see what it's all about. And then for non-continuity books, I picked up Joker, a Puzzle Box. I was kind of hoping this was going to be the last issue. I'm like 3 issues behind, and so I was like, I'll just read it all when it's done. But it looks like there's going to be at least an issue 7. Not sure how long this is running for, but I'm starting to feel a little bit like buyer's remorse on this one, to be honest. I just am not sure that this concept is going to hold me for 7, 8 issues, but we'll see. I'll probably sit down and catch this up so that I can go into the remaining issues month to month. Depending on just how many more issues it has to go. And then finally, the book that I've been hearing a ton of praise on, Dark Knights of Steel, issue 3 of 12. I have not read any of these yet, but I was really excited when it was coming out. With this being more of a sort of Dungeons and Dragons version of the DC universe, I wanted to let a few issues kind of come out so that I could just really invest in that world for a little bit. So I think now that we're a quarter of the way into the series, I'll probably go ahead and sit down, give these 3 a read and see what all the fuss is about, because I definitely want to read this before it gets spoiled. I've heard nothing but good things about it. Can't wait to dig in. So yeah, ultimately, small but mighty haul this week. I'm going to be reading and reviewing Batman and Detective Comics for you guys, and letting you guys know what happened this week in Batman. Okay, so I've had the chance to sit down and read these books. Let's take a look at Abyss Part 2, Batman 119. Overall, this was a solid read for Joshua Williamson's second issue. The only complaint I had with this was, and this is probably going to frustrate a lot of people, was the art, because we've got in here Jorge Molina, who was doing just a killer job on the art. But then we've also added Michael Janin, sort of supplementing throughout the book. And so, the art was just so well crafted in part 1. And now to only be on part 2 and have it be just like a mix of artists, I found to be pretty frustrating. All of a sudden you've got that Michael Janin square jaw, and I feel like I'm just suddenly reading another book. And it was just irritating. But nevertheless, the story definitely carries it through, because we're continuing down this Batman Inc. rabbit hole in which Lex Luthor is now running Batman Inc., and ultimately his goal now is to get Batman on his payroll as well. Super solid concept. Excited to see where it goes ultimately. The big revelation in this at the end is that Abyss is still alive, and Batman has his first fight with Abyss, and he gets his ass kicked. I really enjoyed the art at the end of this story. The use of light, or the absence of light, was just really effective. And then when the police officer that Batman's working with comes in, turns on the lights, and you see the fallout of that fight, it's a great reveal towards the end of the issue. Actually, a better payoff than the final panel, which I'm not going to show, but for me was a little bit confusing. I wasn't quite clear what happened at the end. It'll kind of hopefully be explained. All in all, really like Williamson's take on the character, really honing in on the detective aspect of Batman and the Bruce Wayne side of Batman as well, which has been very underserved recently, I think. So despite a few hiccups in the art, really excited to read issue 1. Next up, we've got the inaugural issue of Shadows of the Bat. First off, I just want to give a shout out to the painted cover on this. Really dig it. Really think this is cool. And the art inside by Ivan Reis is, I mean, fantastic. Ivan Reis pretty universally kicks it out of the park. I had not been reading Batman Superman, which he was on before, so it was exciting to kind of just get to take his artwork in again. Always a solid choice for art, and so far really fitting the story, so that's exciting. I don't know that he's on the book throughout. I'm pretty sure we get a mix of different artists, so it'll be interesting to see how all the different art styles marry together as this unfolds. But basically, as far as the story goes, if you've been reading the lead up to it, there's nothing too surprising in this. We've built this new Arkham Tower, which, you know, anything Arkham in Gotham City is somewhat cursed. And sure enough, you know, 24 days into building Arkham Tower, Gotham finds itself with some kind of a hostage crisis going on. Classic Ivan Reis art here, by the way. And basically, with Batman still presumably in Europe while this is taking place, we've got the rest of the Bat family trying to make heads or tails of what's going on and trying to step in and solve the problem. A large part of this features Batwoman, which is fantastic. I really like Batwoman as a character. And the way Ivan Reis illustrates her is, you know, again, just absolutely top-notch. But she's outside the tower trying to get in. Oracle is trying to get a pinpoint on where the rest of the Bat family is, particularly Nightwing and Stephanie. Cassandra Cain appears to be outside of the tower as well, partnering up with Batwoman. And as the issue unfolds, you find out that Nightwing and Stephanie are in the tower and potentially compromised. And at the end of the issue, basically promises to let you know what the heck just happened. Because the book opens, you know, 7 days in. Everything seems to be going smoothly, albeit a little too smoothly. So there's a certain amount of suspicion involved. And then the next thing you know, it's already hit the fan. So yeah, great inaugural issue of Shadows of the Bat. I think the potential of this story is really, really high. I like the idea of getting to spend an extended period of time with the rest of the Bat family dealing with this crisis situation on their own. And at least so far, having it be, you know, much more relatable in terms of the stakes. You know, this isn't the world is going to explode, Gotham City is going to fall into a sinkhole, or anything like that. Like, this is a much more real-world, grounded issue that they're going to have to deal with, which is super promising. So another story arc that I'm just really excited to see where it goes. So to wrap up, as opposed to doing my usual kind of final thoughts, since it's only the 2 books, there's really not a whole lot else to say. I'll use this opportunity just to talk about the backup stories. So first up in Batman, we got a Gotham Academy adventure, which probably was the weaker of the 2 backup stories, to be honest. I've never followed any of the Gotham Academy stories, so I'm not really sure if this is supposed to fit into that or what. The story itself is actually called They Make Great Pets, but we're following this character named Maps, who's sort of telling her own Batman story. It's written in the second-person perspective. She fancies herself as a detective, and of course, next thing you know, she's dressing up like Robin, trying to solve this series of murders that are going on. Kind of predictable. You know, of course, there's another Robin in here, so I don't know if this is intended to set something up for later, if I'm already supposed to know who Maps is. But again, I don't know anything about Gotham Academy, so you guys can let me know down in the comments what I'm missing here. Overall, I don't know, it felt kind of disposable. It'll be interesting to see if this ties back in somewhere else, or if it's just kind of a one and done. As for the House of Gotham storyline, which is incorrectly listed on the cover as House of Wayne, that one stood out to me much more. This is written by Matthew Rosenberg. I believe this is going to run for a while. I'm not sure exactly how long, but there's definitely a lot of potential here, and it'd be interesting to see if this continues to unfold throughout all of Shadows of the Bat. It could make for a pretty solid backup story that could be collected on its own if that's the case. But basically, what you're following in this is another earlier Batman story in which this seemingly random family is being accosted by the Joker. The father in this family somehow got mixed up with him, and now, of course, their lives are on the line. The boy who survives this encounter finds a gun, and he's gonna pop out and kill the Joker. But when he comes out, Batman is the one who is standing there because he's just broken in moments too late, and the boy equivocates Batman as an accomplice to the Joker and then tells the police department that that's what's going on. So again, this is the kind of story that probably only works when Batman, is young and he's still not completely established as the Batman that everyone knows. I really found myself enjoying the art on this. It's Fernando Blanco, who's been doing Catwoman up to this point. Loved the art on Catwoman, so it's exciting to see him here. I hope that this story continues for a little while and we get to dig into the relationship between Batman, Joker, this boy, and the Gotham City Police Department. So this story kind of scratched an itch for me that I didn't know needed scratching. So as I said, all in all, great week in comics. Excited to catch up on Joker Puzzle Box and Dark Knights of Steel. And I hope you guys have a great week in comics. Thanks for watching.